Hi, this is Ron from Military Images Magazine with a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. Today, I want to talk about this photograph that appears in our current issue. Initially, when the image was sent in by a subscriber and contributor, I decided not to publish it because it was very difficult to make sense of the uniform and to connect it to the military. If you take a close look, you'll see some of the details that suggest military, but can't exactly be confirmed, or I couldn't confirm it at the time. So you'll see that he's wearing a pattern 1839 cap with a rain cover, which is certainly military. However, the uniform is somewhat questionable. It's an overshirt with large stars on the collar, a black silk handkerchief around his neck, and some sort of a bib that might be a slightly lighter color. Hard to tell. And so I do what I normally do, which is I reach out to our network of senior editors and others to find out more information, and we couldn't resolve it. We couldn't say definitively that he was a member of any specific branch of the service. So time passed by, and I received an email from the owner of this photograph who had sent me another image. This one has a gentleman wearing the same uniform. He's not wearing a cap, but he's wearing the same outfit. It's the same stars. It's the same bib. Everything is exactly similar. And this image happens to be identified as a gentleman named Averland Foster. And you'll see a note there that says he was part of the Revenue Marine Service in 1861. So that's an interesting detail because it helps identify this uniform and make it possible that, hey, we have an actual connection. There's a data point that we can use to identify this photograph. And so based on the strength of this original identified image of Averland Foster, we were able to say that we're pretty darn confident that this individual is a member of the Revenue Marine Service, probably from about 1860, perhaps 1861. Certainly, when the Civil War began, the uniforms became standardized to be closer to the Navy. But during these antebellum times, as many of you know who study these uniforms, it was definitely a period of experimentation. Now, you may be wondering, what exactly is the Revenue Marine Service? Well, in 1790, it was established as the Armed Customs Enforcement Service for the Treasury Department. Two of its vessels might ring a bell with you during the Civil War period, when the Navy more or less took possession, or at least temporary control, of some of the fancy revenue service cutters, state-of-the-art vessels, and used them to supplement the U.S. Navy, which was did not have the volume of vessels to handle a blockade during the war period, at least in the early part of the war period. And so two of the vessels are worthy of note. First is the Harriet Lane, which was a revenue cutter that most historians credit with firing the first naval shot of the war during the bombardment of Fort Sumter in April 1861. The other image, their vessel pops up in 1863 when Confederate raiders in Maine captured the cutter Caleb Cushing. That was in Portland, Maine, in the harbor of Portland in late June of 1863. The news of that event was largely overshadowed by the Battle of Gettysburg and the surrender of Vicksburg, just less than a week after the Caleb Cushing was captured. So the Revenue Marine Service later becomes known as the Revenue Cutter Service. In 1915, it merges with another service called the Life-Saving Service to form the U.S. Coast Guard. So there you have it. Our belief is that what you're looking at here, this soldier, this sailor, pardon me, is an early member of what eventually became the U.S. Coast Guard. So thanks so much. Take care. Until the next episode, happy trails.